Hello everybody and welcome back to today's video. Today we will be checking out all the things you should know before creating your Minecraft 1.16 or 1.16 server, and before making it public and everything. So I'm going to go over some of the tips I've learned when I was creating a test server for 1.16, and the things that I would go over normally with any version of Minecraft. But we're going to focus on 1.16 considering it's the latest and a lot of people are hopping on the server train to create these new servers and create entertaining times for everyone. So the first thing I kind of wanted to mention about servers and everything is you have to have a budget to be able to create a server that is going to be played by thousands or hundreds of people, however many people your goal is, even if it's like 10 people. Running in Minecraft 1.16 or a Minecraft server in general does take hosting space, it does require constant management, and hosting it from your PC isn't probably the best idea. Now, you can host the server from your PC if you want like a development server, or if you're just playing with one or two people. But as long as when you start getting above like 10 people, you're going to start taking up more disk space, you're going to be taking up more RAM and all of this. And your PC, however much RAM or stuff you have on your PC, may not be the best to host this. So what you want to do is you want to create or get a host. It could be a VPS host, it could be a shared host like Bisect hosting or Apex host, Kyra hosting, or whatever hosting service you want to go with. Those are going to be the ones that are like the starter level, entry level hosting services, which give you a Minecraft server that you can just configure to your liking, and it's not hosted on your computer, so it's up 24 hours a day. You can connect a domain name to it. We'll talk about that a little later in the video, and all of this good stuff. So that is like your basic thing. You want a decent host that has a decent amount of performance, and this is where 1.16 kind of comes into the equation here. Any version of Minecraft over 1.12.2 has terrible performance. Mojang did a terrible job at optimizing it, which means it's going to take a lot more server resources rather than the older versions of Minecraft like 1.8 or 1.9, and it's just going to require a lot more space and RAM. Along with hard drive space and CPU and all of the other types of things you're going to need on the server. So one thing I recommend doing, and there's a few things you can do to make this performance a little bit better. One of them is to pre-generate your world using a plugin either called Chunk Master or World Border. Both of these are possible. I personally recommend using Chunk Master on newer Minecraft versions because it's a little bit more performance optimized. Or you can use World Border, which is a little less performance optimized for my newer versions, but it does still do the job. What this does is it makes it so every chunk in the Minecraft world is generated up to wherever you want it to go. So let's say you're a 30,000 by 30,000 World Border, you'll have all the chunks in there loaded, preloaded, inside of your world file. But there's one problem by doing this, and that is hard drive space. When I did a 30,000 by 30,000 world in Minecraft, that took up 80 gigabytes worth of hard drive space on the server. So please keep this in mind when pre-genning worlds and stuff. It does take a ridiculous amount of power to do it, and a ridiculous amount of disk space to hold those world files. So please make sure you know that before you go ahead and pre-gen 100 by 100,000 world, which would literally take weeks, and you'd take up hundreds of gigabytes worth of storage. Make it something realistic that fits within your hosting preference and your hosting server's capabilities. And I will do a tutorial in the future on how to pre-gen a world like that, so make sure to subscribe and stay tuned. But that's like the main thing I would mention doing when you're creating a server, especially in 1.16, is to performance optimize it as much as possible, either by using Paper Spigot or pre-genning the world, or a combination of both is probably your best bet. And that just keeps the lag down, all of that. Now, the second thing I wanted to kind of mention about running a server is you should probably get yourself a domain name. When you buy a server host or you host from your house, by default is the IP of the server. They're called the IP. And that is a numeral IP normally, which is like 192 point whatever, and that's what you type into your Minecraft to go into the thing. But as you realize, servers like Hypixel have play.hypixel.com, or Mineplex have play.mineplex.com. And all of these, what these do is they replace that numeral IP with a written IP, which is like your website name or your server name, etc. So this is the second thing I recommend doing. There are free website domain name hosts out there, which you can get a free website domain from and connect it to your Minecraft server. While I don't recommend doing this just because of security, you kind of want to own your own domain name, it is possible to do this. So if you are tight on the budget and you just want to just point a cheap free domain name to your thing, that is completely possible. I may do a video on this as well, but I do recommend using Namecheap or Cloudflare, somebody to purchase a domain. It's about $12 a year or so, and then you own that domain and you can redirect it anywhere. It's yours, you own it, you can do whatever you want with it. I recommend doing that. And my person I purchased domain names through is Cloudflare, which is like they host a bunch of, or protect a bunch of the sites and domain names on the internet. So I will do another video on Cloudflare and domains in a future time, but that would be my second suggestion, is get a domain name, make sure it's unique to your server, give that to your players, because remembering a domain name is significantly easier and easier for people to share and get back to you, rather than a numeral IP that people could mess up or not get correct, or it's harder to spread around the servers and everything. So get a domain name. That's my number 2 suggestion above performance. Alright, so what else do you have to do to get a server? Well, what I would suggest doing in terms of my third suggestion is don't focus on the monetary aspect of your server. And what this means is don't focus on making it to make money. You're not going to make money off your Minecraft server for a significant amount of time after creating it. You're going to have to put money in, and you may not see that money come out. I've run multiple servers where some have been profitable, some have not. Some I have put in hundreds and hundreds of dollars into, and I've not made a cent out of them. You never know if it's going to be successful or not. So what you should do is you should not focus on the money aspect of it. Create a decent server, get some play times in, see how players are liking the server, then start monetizing it with different aspects. Don't focus on monetization at first, because that just ends in disaster every single time. Yes, it does help your server stay alive, but if you just are pushing your players to create and pay you money for things, it's not going to go that well. So make sure to focus on other things, like just focus on getting all of your servers set up first, your cosmetics set up, your crates set up, whatever else you have to set up. Get voting. That's one of the highest things I put in our how to get more players on your Minecraft server video is voting. Get voting set up. Put your server on serverless. Stuff like this. Focus on that before focusing on trying to make money. Because there's a good chance you won't make any money off the server, but there's a good chance you could become very successful. It's a completely random chance depending on how good you set up your server. So focus on your server first. Don't focus on making money. And that's like my number 3 tip for you. Now my number 4 tip for you is to try to not spend an extreme amount of money. If you're just getting started, and this kind of goes back to number 3 and number 1 that I talked about, try to not spend a ridiculous amount of money on hosting or a ridiculous amount of money on everything else. Now let's talk a little bit about the prices, which this all can come down to. So when you're starting a Minecraft server, you're going to have to either pay for hosting, or you can use a VPS or dedicated server, but you're also still paying for those. So what I do when I run my servers is normally I own one dedicated server, which I run all my servers off of for my business and everything. This is not a good idea for just starting out unless you have a very, very big budget for your server. Dedicated servers are the most expensive, but they are the most, you have full control over them. So they're most configurable and everything. But if you're just getting started, I would recommend using a shared host and just get one server to get set up on, and you're good to go there. That's my suggestion for shared hosts and everything. But keep it cheap. Don't go for any more than you need in terms of RAM or CPU. And you may see a lot of hosts be like, oh, we offer unlimited RAM. The unlimited RAM thing, it doesn't exist. There is nothing such as unlimited RAM. There will always be a limit, and you can check the host terms of service to figure out what that limit is. But I would recommend going, especially for a 1.16 server, between 5 and 8 gigabytes, depending on the amount of players you're going to have on your server. The more players, the more RAM and CPU you're going to need, and the more hard drive space. So it's pretty much depends on your players. And I'll do a very, very, very detailed breakdown of the performance of servers in a future video. But that's my tip for that. Don't spend so much money. Don't spend so much money on like a Buycraft store or stuff. There's plenty of cheaper alternatives out there like Crafting Store, which are way, way cheaper than Buycraft. Buycraft is the #1 platform for selling Minecraft stuff, but you can use there's plenty of other platforms out there that are much cheaper. You don't have to spend as much. Buycraft, their ultimate plan costs like $30, $40 a month, which is ridiculous. And it's very, very expensive. So make sure to keep in mind there are a lot of options for what you're looking out there, and just look around before dedicating yourself to one, because there could be a better alternative which is 10 times cheaper. And that goes for forum software as well. Engine is the old Minecraft forum software, which not that many people use anymore. Most people use Xinferno for Zenforno, whatever you call it, for most of their forum needs, and that's what Hypixel uses, Mineplex uses, all those big servers. That also costs a few $100s for a license to use that per year. So make sure you and get all the info before you invest in something like that. If you want to focus on setting up your server, set up your server. Don't make a forums yet. You can run pretty much everything from your server or on a free Discord server as well. So make sure to keep that in mind. Don't use all your money all at once just to build a server, and then you run out of money to advertise and stuff, because advertising comes in as a very, very crucial point of making a server, and it can be really difficult once you don't have a basic setup. So then we're going to go into one of my final things I'm going to talk about today, and that is what's actually on your server and your game modes and stuff. Now, if you're playing 1.16, you're most likely playing Survival or Townie or one of these, and that's completely fine. But what I would recommend doing is putting a twist to whatever you do. So, Survival or Townie or something like this, you need a twist. You can't just have your traditional, normal Survival or Townie server. I reviewed a little Townie server a little while ago that is doing very, very well with like 70 players on constantly, and one thing I noticed about that server is they added a lot of unique features to it. And that's like helicopters flying and stuff. That's kind of what you want to see on different servers. Don't copy a server. Make your own unique thing, because that will really, really come in handy when it comes to creating servers and everything. Make it a unique idea with a unique features and everything else about it. Just make it all unique. Otherwise, you're going to run into problems with people calling you copiers. People will go ahead and join other servers that are more popular because you have the same game mode as they do. So make sure to make something unique that everybody can play right when they get in, that can interest new players, and overall keep players on for the long run. And we're going to go into more of that again in detail in a future video. But this is kind of an overview of everything. Keep in mind that over the next few weeks I'll be making a bunch of videos on creating servers and how my tips in creating servers and stuff, so make sure to stay tuned if you haven't already. Alright, thank you so much for watching today's video. Hopefully these few tips have helped you understand a little bit around making a 1.16.1 or 1.16 server, and just keep it in mind when you're creating servers in the future. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Noodles, and I'll see you in tomorrow's video, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already.